Finally, I am back with another review video, and this time we could review Collusion. Now, I'll say this briefly. Collusion is technically the part 3 from the last episode, basically. It is technically part 3, but it does seem like for now these episodes are actually kind of conjoined together at this point. So, technically speaking, you could say that this last few episodes might technically be all taking part in one day or maybe 2 days. I don't know, but that's my theory. I haven't watched the other 2 episodes yet, but hey, it is what it is. Now, Collusion is, again, part 3 of the previous episode. This is episode 22, and I'm gonna say this. This episode is a very interesting episode, to say the least. There's nothing else much to say. I will be pretty quick into this one because most of the important stuff basically takes place here, and I'll go briefly with the stuff that basically you guys don't really need to know, basically, for this episode. But this episode does basically do another follow-up with the next episode, basically. I'm assuming, hopefully. Without further ado, let's begin. Episode basically starts with Gabriel basically promising his dead wife, Emily, that, he will bring them together again once more by, reviving her, or at least resetting the world. So apparently at this point, Gabriel does know that it is possible that he will be able to reset the world to a new world once he gets the 2 Miraculouses. Don't know how he knows this, but we can only assume maybe it's from the secret books, or by extension maybe somebody else from when he kumtai somebody. It's very hard to tell at this point. On his way of passing, well, in this scene, you will see Gabriel basically peeking through the crack just to see what Natalie's doing. Natalie right here is basically listening to Emily's last request on to basically stop Gabriel for what he's doing right now, because he is basically kind of going a bit mad onto making Emily happy, and at this point trying to make her alive again and stuff like that, if it ever comes to pass, stuff like that, because Gabriel has always been a dedicated, stubborn man and tries to tell Natalie to have him basically focus on Adrian a bit more. Then we get to basically Adrian and Marinette. Adrian and Marinette basically kind of just talked over on the phone after they both woke up and basically getting ready to school. That's about it. We do have a talk with Gabriel, Natalie, and Adrian, of course. Let's just say that this scene right here, both Natalie and Adrian are pretty much just a tad bit angry on Gabriel on what he's doing. Gabriel's trying to manipulate his son once again, but Natalie is kind of a bit more forceful here. And of course, Adrian, already knowing that that Gabriel is on his bad terms now, and the reason why is because Gabriel doesn't like Marinette. So Adrian basically finally steps up for himself here and basically goes to school on his own accord without breakfast. Of course, he decides to walk over there because he doesn't feel the need to actually get a ride there, because again, his mind is just a bit more cluttered at this point, just being frustrated with his father. And of course, need to tell Marinette that he is going to Britain or London, wherever the two, basically. It's kind of interchangeable, I think, in this episode, but basically he has to figure out when's the right time to actually tell Marinette that he is going and he will not be staying in Paris for any longer. Kind of sad to see the bodyguard, just a bit sad here, because he was prepared to drive that car, but it's understandable. Throughout this whole scene of the school, just put it shortly, Rose right here is just has enough with Adrian and Marinette not actually kissing yet. And that's true. Even though they're out together right now, they have never kissed. But of course, Adrian and Marinette says they're just waiting for the right time, which at this point is a very logical reason, and it makes sense. Do you really want to kiss like the quote-unquote love of your life on like the first minute you guys got engaged? In terms of, I mean, engaged as in when they ask you out, when you just start going dating would you kiss on the first date? No, honestly. For me, no. Take about a few more times because, to be honest, that you're just rushing things. And I think mostly Marinette's friends are, I don't know what's the right word. Maybe like just like really into romance, especially Rose, and always with the fairy tale stuff and other than that. But of course, Adrian and Marinette all agreed that they both agreed that they will wait for the right time. This scene is kind of unnecessary. It's just there for the love plot, which, to be honest, is kind of not really important in this episode. But it's just there for basically kind of like a gag. And Marinette and Adrian being very cute. It is annoying for some people, but I think it's pretty sweet and cute. Rose admits it. Technically, Rose is like both sides of the audience at this point. And this is the reason why I said this is technically the part 3 of this episode. So, this episode is a bit annoying, but in a good way, unlike the episode where Lila has the main spotlight again. I don't really like that one. But in this one, yeah, Chloe is just being like a know-it-all and stuff like that, and just like being more of a brat than usual. Sorry to say, she is now degrading from like before season 1, most likely. Just kind of reverting back to her old ways during the flashback. But currently, right now, and later in this scene, you'll realize that, spoiler alert, of course, Chloe is taking advice from Lila, or who we should know as right now, which I forgot the name. I would say Cassandra, but I doubt that's Lila's actual or real or fake name. Who knows? But Lila in this episode, I will not show her just yet, but Lila in this episode is basically the same as she was in the last episode. And of course, Chloe's just disrupting the class. Everybody's against Chloe, but Chloe's like, I am the mayor's daughter, I am privileged and stuff like that. Oh yeah, since the principal we know is basically already, fired from his position, the new position of the principal is basically the science teacher. I always keep forgetting her name, but I'll just call her a science teacher for simplicity's sake. And of course, as that, the mayor still is the higher priority, and the mayor basically cannot do anything because of Chloe and yada yada yada. You know how this goes anyway. The order of change has been corrupted because of Chloe, and then we get to basically a little far here. All you guys really need to know about this whole scene here is pretty simple. Basically, sadly, the teacher gets fired. Marinette gets expelled because of Chloe. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just really pretty much ridiculous. But of course, if you notice in this screenshot, there's something in Chloe's ear. That is an earpiece that Lila gave her, because throughout this whole thing, while Chloe is saying all this, she's technically just repeating what Lila is saying to her, because Lila will guarantee the position of power that Chloe mostly wants. We have another shot of Lila as what she looks like now, and basically completely different. I think, yeah, her eyes are different, including her hair. And if you're wondering why it's like mostly just brown here, it's the lighting. It's honestly just the lighting of the shot, honestly. Also, if you want to know where she is, I can barely tell you where she is. She could be in an alleyway, for all I know, or under a basement. The teacher does get akumatized here, but she does break free by just relaxing herself, calming herself down, doing breathing exercises. Basically, to maybe a similar breathing exercise on how people do, like, to compensate with late pregnancy. But that's, even though I did take a class about like about that, like specifically I didn't know I took a class about that. I don't know exactly how I've gone through because of the situations that's been happening. I do remember some stuff, and I do know that a breathing exercise is actually one way to actually, calm yourself down. She's doing the same technique, basically, to break free of Monarch's control. I could be pretty much wrong about the breathing exercise thing, but she does a breathing procedure exercise, you would say, to calm herself down. Well, that's all you need to know. I've been rambling a bit too much there. All the students see their teacher go because she is fired. That's it. Gabriel, the mayor, and of course you cannot see, but Kagami's mother is also here too. Basically, they're here to actually buy City Hall. Don't know why exactly, but they're just gonna try to buy City Hall. And of course, don't forget, Chloe is on her way to basically tell that that her father cannot disobey her or ignore her because, you know, she is Chloe. That's what Lila said. Also, Lila is also here too. She's disguised herself as a waitress. Basically, she's technically in hiding and basically telling Chloe about more stuff and typical stuff, of course, like just to please herself, to please Chloe, and then just a bit more stuff out there as well. But Chloe's just saying all this without realizing what the big plan is, so she's just only for the part where she can get all the power. That's what Chloe is. So, we did get another scene with Marinette and her friends on Julika's home, but we're gonna skip that part because it's not really that important. Now, Gabriel and the mayor are actually just having a talk, basically, and while Gabriel's trying to basically manipulate him for obvious reasons and try to get him maybe akumatized for angriness and stuff like that, the mayor actually reminisces their past. The mayor and Gabriel used to be very good friends, and Gabriel in the past always helps people achieve their dreams, especially with the mayor. And the mayor basically, his dream was to just basically be with his wife, and it was a pretty sweet thing too. Until, of course, later, the mayor does confess that he doesn't like his wife anymore because she is very much a spoiled person, always getting abused by her, not to mention her daughter, basically. And the reason why he's mayor in the first place is basically because of his father. Yeah. Just to try to make him proud. Jesus Christ, I think a lot of people could relate to that. Jeez. After confessing all that, basically, Gabriel this whole time was recording, and he's going to basically edit the video, making as a confession that the mayor is basically a dictator and will replace everybody with robots. That's just the short end of the stick, basically. And after editing all that, he's just gonna post that, post it to the next akumatized victim, and to basically later try to broadcast it all over Paris. Monarch again tries to akumatize the teacher because the first time failed, and the second time now there's some fake evidence that supports how she feels, sadly. And of course, Hawkmoth tells her to go on to a revolution, giving her the powers to basically turn people into balloons and hoping for a better life in Paris and basically dethrone the mayor, so to speak. Unfortunately, this works. Chloe, at this point, even though she kind of started this, she's surprised that even though with this big video, the mayor, his father said all this, and she was taken aback. Later, Gabriel called Chloe. Chloe says that basically Gabriel has nothing that she ever wants because the only thing is Adrian, but unfortunately that failed. But Lila convinces Chloe to take the deal, and then, well, later in the video, you'll see soon what Gabriel basically gave Chloe. And no, it is not the Miraculous. Ladybug and Cat Noir are on the scene, going to try to stop the new villain. I kind of forgot the villain's name, but of course it's because she's trying to start a revolution. I didn't show you the villain, actually. Give me a sec. I know this is not the best shot that I have, but this is what the villain looks like. It's a bit weird, to be honest, but I think it's kind of just a rush design, maybe. But her power is kind of pretty nice. It's just that her weapon is only good if it touches somebody that is living. It doesn't exactly cut anything, at least to my knowledge. I don't remember. Zoe, after seeing all this, and of course this makes sense because, you know, she is also the daughter of the mayor, stepdad, most likely. So yes. Yeah, I think you guys already know, but yeah, Zoe is just basically Chloe's stepsister, honestly. Now, Zoe basically is here trying to convince the teacher that her stepfather is not all that bad. He will never say anything this bad, and of course, he might make mistakes, but he's never this bad, right? Of course, the teacher didn't take this lightly and tries to attack her, but of course, Ladybug does save Zoe here. Now, Ladybug, her turn to convince the teacher that it's best, if possible, she could try to use her words, which is, I kind of wish that this lesson was stated earlier in this series, but hey, to be honest, if it was it, we would never have all of this anyway. So yeah, okay. So basically, the teacher giving her first method one more chance, using her words to convince people. She will go up to the mayor and basically use her words, not violence, to actually resolve this problem. With Ladybug and Cat Noir basically escorting her so she doesn't actually do something bad. The mayor found this out a bit too late, and of course he tries to call Gabriel, but Gabriel will not answer him. So he's just gonna leave a message that, of course, their friendship is over, and of course, so and so, but he does feel sorry for Gabriel, basically. But he, of course, he didn't think that Gabriel would betray him, basically. It's kind of hard to put this in words. Best if you actually watch this part of the episode to find out. But yeah, it is a bit sad, and he's trying to basically getting ready to say his piece right now. That is until she walks in and basically tells him to resign and step down as mayor. And of course, what does the mayor say? He said he will. Of course, it is pretty strange on how fast he did this, but of course, because of the message he gave to Gabriel that he's also resigned, he's planning to resign. He is now resigning pretty quickly, to be honest. And of course, before he resigns himself, he basically gives the teacher her position back as teacher, and basically firing himself, which I didn't think it was possible. Can the mayor fire himself? Maybe? I don't know if that actually worked. But either way, he fired himself, and now he is free. And of course, he walks away with Zoe, who was actually just by the door. So everything is basically resolved. Also, Mayor Ladybug basically does have a lucky charm. It's crowned, but nothing really happened with the crown because it was not really necessary. Cat Noir basically reassures her that even though that's not the case, she always needs a lucky charm to fix everything for the MiraculousLadybug power. So, makes sense. Of course, I don't know why we have this filter here, but of course, Chloe came here with 6 security bots. I don't know why the security bots are rectangles, but I think it's the most efficient. And you can tell it's from Gabriel. Kind of obvious, don't you think? I mean, we've seen these rectangle guys before. Now, Chloe's here with the news press, basically telling a cover story that Ladybug and Cat Noir are the ones who helped the villain to have the mayor resign as mayor. Her father. And we can tell that this is from Lila because Chloe has a few problems with words. That's not the right grammar, I can assure you, and yeah, I cannot blame Chloe. I sometimes cannot say stuff. It's just this. Chloe's just trying to frame them and then try to capture them. But don't worry. Sorry, just something in my throat there. Ladybug and Cat Noir does escape. After all that, Chloe became the new mayor. Why? And why does everybody accept this? Well, I think it's obvious. Chloe is basically the mayor's daughter. And everybody already knows how much of a tyrant Chloe is already, and how much dirt she has on everybody. So it's safe to assume that she could just basically blackmail everybody. And since she's technically still the mayor's daughter, and the mayor, while he does say that he is resigning, he never said it publicly yet. So I guess in that regard, she is technically still in position of having the new power. I don't know how that works, but maybe she got some re-endorsement or something, I don't know. But I should tell you one thing, that she is not exactly pulling the strings here, while she is wanting to. The thing is that Lila wants her to do this so that Lila doesn't actually appear physically, so that nobody could recognize her and people already know that she's kind of a liar. So basically using Chloe as a puppet to basically kind of conjure up this massive plan. You know, Technoblade is right. They're down with the government. I don't know. But either way, that's kind of about it for this episode. Also, this screenshot, you will only see this screen if you go past the ending, like the post, like the pre-credit scene. Because before this, they showed the ending screen, but then they have this. So technically post-credits, I'm not so sure. But that's basically the plan right now. And of course, at the very end of this episode, we have now basically set up for everything. And that Chloe's first decree as mayor to give the power back to the people, and of course, making 3 people outlaws. Ladybug, Cat Noir, and Monarch are now all outlaws in Paris. So if anybody finds them, they're technically now illegal to be in Paris. Yes, Ladybug, Cat Noir, and Monarch, also known as Akuma, if you guys don't know. And that's the end of the episode. Overall, it is a pretty good episode, although I would say that I was a bit it almost feels the same as the part where we have, like, you know, Lila having another main focus again, and technically speaking, I guess she has another main focus in this one. It's basically almost a similar stance as the previous episode, episode 21, and it's not as bad as episode 20, but it's similar to episode 21. So in that regard, I will say that this episode is kind of like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Maybe 7 if I'm feeling pretty good. Mayor finally steps up for himself while stepping down as mayor. It's kind of, I guess, equivalent exchange, I guess? Maybe? I don't know. But knowing that, this is like getting very juicy. So, to recap, just the important parts. Chloe's mayor. The heroes and villains are outlawed. Lila is basically making Chloe her puppet. That's about it. I don't know what episode 23 is going to have in store, but I'm gonna watch that soon. It is what it is. And of course, the love plot, barely anything, just commentary on it. I think it's kind of cute, sweet, but a bit annoying. It makes Rose very much annoying in this episode, honestly. Which is a first for me. Either way, that's it for the video. My name is Sunpo, and see you guys next time. I've been talking a bit too long. I don't know if I'm going to cut anything of those out, honestly.